Help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Subscribe to the channel first, because stories like this are the kind you never want to miss. Let me take you back to the night when a single toast, just one, almost tore my entire life apart. The evening began like every other casual gathering we'd hosted. Warm lights glowing softly, music humming in the background, people chatting and laughing as they drifted from one corner of the room to another. I arrived with my wife, Hannah, her fingers wrapped around my hand a bit tighter than usual. At first, it didn't register. We'd attended gatherings like this countless times, with the same familiar faces and light-hearted conversations. But that night, something felt off. Heavy even. Like the entire room was sitting on a secret I hadn't been told. I tried brushing it aside, mingling with guests as they asked about work, life, marriage, the usual. I smiled and responded politely, but my attention kept drifting back to Hannah. She seemed different. She moved through the crowd like she was floating, glowing almost unnaturally. Her laughter was louder, her smiles too deliberate. Every time someone spoke to her, she would toss me a strange little look, as if I was unknowingly part of some hidden joke. I told myself she was just enjoying the night, maybe more than usual. She'd always loved being around people. Maybe she needed the social energy after a stressful week. But then came the moment everything tilted. Someone tapped their glass, and the room fell quiet. I turned instinctively toward the sound, only to find Hannah standing in the center, holding her champagne flute with both hands like it meant something significant. People focused on her, anticipating a funny thank you or a sweet message. I expected something light, something harmless. But then she lifted her glass, locked eyes with me, and announced loudly, clear enough for every ear to catch. "Everyone, I have news. Daniel is going to be a father." For a heartbeat, I thought I heard her wrong. And then the room erupted. Cheers, clapping, tears. People swarmed around me, with congratulations. My family, my friends, coworkers, they all hugged me, laughing, celebrating. I stood completely still. Because there was one enormous problem. Hannah and I hadn't been trying for a baby. In fact, things between us had been distant for months. Her expression, the too perfect smile stretched across her face, looked rehearsed, planned. While everyone drowned in celebration, I stared at the woman who suddenly felt like a stranger. When the noise settled slightly, Hannah came over, threw her arms around my neck, and whispered, "Surprised?" Surprised didn't even begin to cover it. Shocked, confused, cornered. Those were closer. I leaned back just enough to murmur, "Hannah, what are you doing?" But she didn't answer. She just gave me an artificial smile and kissed my cheek like everything she had said was normal. Like she hadn't turned my world upside down in front of everyone we knew. The rest of the night felt endless. I spent hours forcing smiles, thanking people, shaking hands, nodding through conversations I barely heard. Meanwhile, I watched Hannah carefully. She kept avoiding my gaze whenever she thought I wasn't looking. She checked her phone constantly, and she whispered to her friend Mia, over and over again. Every time she leaned in to talk to Mia, Mia would glance at me with a stiff, uneasy expression. Almost guilty. That's when dread settled into my bones. Not suspicion, no, something worse. Instinct. My body knew something my mind wasn't ready to process. When the crowd finally started thinning out, I approached Mia at the drinks table. "Mia," I said quietly, "I need the truth. What did Hannah tell you?" She flinched, eyes darting around the room like she was searching for an escape. "Daniel, you need to talk to Hannah," she said nervously. "This isn't my place." "Is she actually pregnant?" I pressed. Her silence, her tightened grip on the glass, her refusal to look at me, all of it confirmed the answer I feared. I walked out of the party without another word. Hannah followed silently. The drive home felt like hours, streetlights passing over us like sharp flashes of reality. She stared out the window, wearing that faint smile, as if she was still basking in the attention from earlier. But between us, the air had shifted into something cold and unbearable. As soon as we stepped inside the house, I turned to her. "Hannah," I said, voice barely steady, Are you actually pregnant? Her confident facade slipped. Her shoulders tensed. For the first time since the announcement, she looked unsure. Well, not exactly, she said softly. My stomach twisted. What does that mean? She hesitated, chewing on her lip before finally saying, I wanted to see how people would respond. I wanted to feel that excitement again. I didn't think it would go so far.
Excitement.
That's what she called it. She had announced a life-altering event, something deeply personal and meaningful, as some sort of experiment. A stunt.
A game.
Faces from the party flashed through my mind.
The joy.
The tears. The hugs. And all the while, it had been a lie. Hannah, this isn't funny, I said, my voice breaking. You humiliated me. You made a fool out of me in front of everyone. You didn't think for a second about how I'd feel? Her eyes watered, but her voice was small and stubborn. I just wanted to see a reaction. Reaction. I repeated, stunned. Everyone believes I'm going to be a father, and I was the only one kept in the dark. That's not a reaction, Hannah. That's betrayal. I ran a hand through my hair, trying to calm the storm building inside me. I need space, I said finally. I need time to process this. You crossed a line tonight, and I don't know how to come back from it. She nodded, tears streaming freely now, realizing, finally, that this wasn't some light-hearted mistake. This was a fracture. The silence between us was heavier than the applause at the party. And in that silence, I learned something painful but necessary. Relationships aren't built on excitement or temporary highs. They survive because of trust, honesty, respect. When those things break, even the loudest cheers can't drown out the sound of betrayal. That night changed everything. And it all began with one toast.